There we go. So good afternoon. I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to Conversations with Al McFarlane. Friday, we call this the Healing Circle. We thank you for being a part of it. If you're watching on YouTube or watching on Facebook Live, we appreciate your presence. We want you to be a part of this conversation on YouTube, on our channel. Like it and share it. Let people know that you're here, that we're here. And if you're monitoring this on Facebook, just like and share the program as well. Give us feedback. We're monitoring both channels, and if you get a question, maybe we can get some put into the comment section here and have you engage in the conversation as well. And I'm going to continue this week my conversation with Dr. Bravada Garrett Akinsanya. I believe she's in the waiting room. She is. Dr. B, how you
Hey,
doing?
I'm fine.
It was so good to see you as always.
Thank you.
And I'm excited that today we're going to keep talking about what we're going to be doing starting next week. We're putting together an exciting and I think innovative engagement system that allows us to talk about COVID-19, both mitigation, awareness, prevention strategies, reminding people how to deal with keeping themselves and their families and people they come in contact with safe, and also talking about the vaccine and helping us navigate the uncertainties that many of us have about whether or not the vaccine is a good idea and whether those who have produced it and who are administering it have our best interest. I want to say that I've had my first vaccination and I'm anxiously waiting number two. So I want to be unequivocal about my own commitment to talking to our community and to the world about following the science and trusting the science and getting the vaccination. I want to try to eliminate any worry people might have about whether getting vaccinated is the right thing to do. And I'm just saying, speaking from my experience as a communicator and as a person that's wanting to be healthy and wanting to live a long life, I have done what I think is the reasonable and appropriate thing to do. I have gotten vaccinated, and I am continuing to encourage everybody I know, and particularly people in our community, African Americans, people of color, to trust the science. And as soon as you are able, if you're in one of the categories, get vaccinated. Get vaccinated, protect yourself, protect those in your household, those who you come in contact with, protect our community, and help make sure that we can live better and sustainable lives. So that's what I think. What do you think, Dr. B?
Well, I agree with you. Actually, my husband and I, we already got our first vaccines as well. And I was glad that we were able to do it. I can tell you that one of the things being a clinical psychologist that we study is behavior change and how people make up their minds to do things or not. And what I have found is that one of the key reasons people will do it is they have social models who have done it, that they see, that they trust, people they see who've done it, that will help them to make that decision. But social modeling isn't enough. And when we say trust the science, then one, you have to know what the science is. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard to trust it by simply word of mouth, because the way science has been dictated and taught to us as a group of community members is been filtered through someone else. Mm-hmm. And so, we always get this joke about, if you want to hide something from us, put it in a book. So I suggest people read and to look it up for themselves, and to go on the internet and look at the CDC site, and there are other studies that are talking about the medications. But one of the things I know is that I have tried to argue down, convince, play by play, help people change their minds why they're afraid, talk about, all the fact that there is a Black woman who discovered and created and led the team to do one of the vaccines. So I trust that young African sister who came forward to use her brilliance and her genius to save her community, because she knows that African Americans, we are represented disproportionately in the highest rate of people who contract COVID. We're represented in the highest rate of people who get hospitalized from COVID-19, and we're representative of the highest people who die percentage-wise from the disease. So those are three highs that we face by not using the vaccine. So my argument is not going to be why people should do it. My argument now is just say why not.
Mm-hmm.
What will you lose if you fool around and contract it and something happens and you end up dying? Because COVID will kill you. It can kill you. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't kill everyone, but it could kill you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you die, what is that going to mean when there was an option to take a vaccine that at least would give you a fighting chance, not to be one of those who died?
Mm-hmm.
So my argument is no longer going to be trying to argue with brothers and sisters, cousins, Shanae, Pookie, and them. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm just going to have everybody to use their mind and think about what would happen if you contract it? What would happen if it kills you? Would you be the only parent for your children? Are you a single mom? What would happen if you're a father and you're the main breadwinner? Or you and your wife couldn't make it without each other's checks? What would happen to your boys and your girls if you weren't around to raise them? What would happen to your mother or your father, since many of us are raising, are caring for, not raising, caring for our elderly parents? What would happen in your family or in your community if something happened to you that you could have taken a vaccine that would have saved and secured your life and you didn't do it? So I think people should read the research. I think they should try to figure it out for themselves. But more importantly, I think they should ask themselves those questions. And the answer may be more important for you to take it than it is for you not.
I'm Neil McFarlane. I'm talking with my colleague and friend, my leader, Dr. Bravada Garrett Akinsanya. She is the CEO, the founder of Bracken's Psychological Services, and she is also the leader and CEO of the African American Child Wellness Institute. And we're connecting, as we always do, on several levels. We connect on the level of friendship. We've been friends a long, long time. And from almost 20 years ago when we started conversations with Al McFarlane, it was first the Insight KMOJ Public Policy Forum at Lucille's Kitchen.
That's
and
right.
I can tell you, I remember whenever Dr. B showed up, she would tear the house down. Not a dry eye in the place, because she spoke with fierceness and with passion and with conviction that actually struck the heart, everybody's heart, and opened our hearts to awareness, understanding, and to the beauty of who we are and the clarity of the work that lies ahead. She's been doing that for a long time. And so every time, I remember once when we had the Black Press of America, I was hosting the annual convention of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, and I invited you to be one of the speakers for one of the keynote sessions. And true to form, Dr. B, you knocked them out. You rocked them. And you rock them because you tell the truth. Yeah. You tell the truth that we experience, that we know, and as you tell it, we feel it. It brings to life in us an understanding of a glorious history and a powerful resilience and a potential for magnificent ordinary futures. That's right. It's not to be exceptional, but to be, I call this arriving towards our ordinary magnificence, or our magnificent ordinariness, right?
I love that.
Meaning that it's something that is available to each and every one of us. That's right. It's not a question of exceptions. It's a question of ensuring that all of us have pathways to understand who we are, our purpose, and pathways to achieve that, and the value that we bring to the space that we occupy while we're here on Earth. That's what I think you've been saying in many ways, in helping us get past imaginary or real barriers to individual fulfillment and development.
That's right.
So that's right. Now you can grade me if I've been listening and able to recite what I have said and seen in ways that reflect what you were doing.
Well, I'll give you an A+ because what you have articulated is exactly what I've been talking about, and I believe that our actions and our behaviors, they touch our spirits. That there's ancestral component to our wellness that's not just found in our thoughts and what we see and what we hear. It's in our very DNA. We are created to excel. We are created to be geniuses and to be blessings. We're created to succeed, and we're created to be well. And that's the thing I think we have to keep fighting for, because that trauma that has been historically and transgenerationally passed down to us, it also still shows up in our DNA. It also still shows up in the way we think and act and behave. And we actually have to go through a process of reclaiming what was our divine birthright. We have to go through the process of reclaiming our wellness, reclaiming our genius, reclaiming our spiritual self and our connections to the Creator. We have to reclaim it. And it's almost like some of us have amnesia. We don't know who we are or who we were. And because we don't know what we're worth. So we minimize our value, and we don't fight for our right to be well. We don't claim the value for our own selves. That's why the Surgeon General did a study some years ago showing that African Americans, we and Native Americans, we are the two groups, followed by Latinos, the Latinx community. We're the three groups who wait the longest. But of all those groups, the African Americans wait the absolute longest before we go see a doctor. We wait the absolute longest before we seek mental health support. And when we could have done it earlier and prevented the pain, it's just such a fight in us internally, because we have things that what won't kill you will make you stronger. And you know what? That's true. But the other part of it is the what won't kill you. So let's try to avoid the what won't kill you part and just do what we learn will make us stronger. If we survive and thrive, it will make us stronger. I think we just need to do what psychologists refer to as some cognitive reframing. We got to rethink it, and we got to think again. And like Aretha said a long time ago, you better check yourself. You got to check, right? So we have to. We have to.
Last week, we talked about what we're going to be introducing starting next week, and that is the wellness circle, the healing circle. And let's talk about that again, because I thought last week's program was fascinating, because you went through the wellness, African-centered wellness wheel. Yeah. And I think part of the job here is simply to introduce our community to a vocabulary, and a vocabulary that allows us to create narratives in which we win.
Yes.
You know, and to at one level, the language or the approach that we have been acclimated to is an approach that guarantees a certain outcome, and that outcome is an embrace and an expression of negative and of lack and of inability. And so if all of the language tools we have and the thinking processes we have that we've been taught, right, and encouraged to embrace, and that we have embraced, lead us to a certain inescapable conclusions. And that conclusion is our inferiority, our inability, our lack, our dysfunction as a reflection of our nature. And all of those are predicated on somebody else's agenda. We were inculcated or indoctrinated to serve somebody else's interest. That's and certainly to be clear that we would never discover and connect our own interest to what we do every day. And so the African-centered wellness strategy focuses on us, who we are, and the values, our best values. So let's go back into that and talk about, remind people what those values are, the circle, the wheel that we talked about last week, and we can talk about what we're going to be doing in the process.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that, and I also think that one of the valuable parts of thinking about wellness is to think of one's whole self. And I like to think of it that when we have all of these components of our life areas working together, we achieve balance. And balance is the kissing cousin to wholeness. And wholeness is our divine rights, our divine birthright. That balance and wholeness that hold us together. And permeating all of that is, and I keep bringing back Aretha, but the idea of respect, respecting ourselves as individuals, respecting ourselves as families, respecting ourselves as societies and communities, and our contributions that are of value. Even if our greatest gift is to make a pie, we make that pie the best, and we bring our whole stuff to that process. It's kind of like Martin Luther King said, be a drum major. Even if you're a garbage man or if you're a housekeeper, be a drum major in your area. Whatever your gifts and talents are, you step up with them. And usually we can tell our gifts and talents because we're good at it. It's
Mhm.
fun. We would do it for free if we
Mhm.
could. And finding ways to let that part of you bubble up and be nurtured as a core part of who you are is the whole essence of being well, being joyful in what you do and who you are and what you bring. And we know that even in hard times, when we are well, we are not alone. We look for and need a community to hold us, a family to hold us. Our whole being is wrapped up in the idea of this overarching need to be balanced and well. And one of the first ones I think that African Americans always remember is the idea of our spirituality, our faith. And so our spiritual wellness is a core part of being um, a well human being. And the African Swahili word for that, of course, is imani, which
Mhm.
means faith. And I like to talk about spirituality and begin with it
Mhm.
because we are such a spiritual group of people. And I'm not talking necessarily religion, because there are a lot of different religions.
Mhm.
Religion is a vehicle to spirituality. But I can use an example of spirituality when I think about, have you ever been around somebody and just being around them is they're so negative, they just bring that bad energy, and they're just downright mean and evil, and you can
Mhm.
just sense it and feel it because they don't smile, they're looking at you like they want to cut you, and something
Mhm.
like that. And so the spirit of that person, you can tell, is not a healing or a connecting spirit. And so spirituality is bigger than religion. So one of the things that I talk about when I talk about our community is that our spirituality has brought us from the Garden of Eden through slavery and multiple times of abuse in these societies. And that spirituality, the belief that we have a creator who put us here, didn't bring us this far to leave us, those beliefs hold us steady. And the problem with spirituality, and I'm going to say the problem with many of them, is that we're not just spiritual. It's more to us than that. It can
Mhm.
be a spirit having a live, a human experience, which is what we are. But
Mhm.
the human part of us is also important, you know. And for those of us who are Christians, Jesus came so he could have the human experience, and he could show us the way to live it, to be through it, to overcome it. And
Mhm.
so one of the things of spirituality is that some of us think that if we get a mental illness or emotional challenges, if we lose our job or something happens, all we should do is pray. And we get so depressed we can't get out of the bed. We get so depressed we don't know how to problem solve with our problems. Our emotions take over. We can't regulate them. People around us we're barking at people who haven't done anything to us. So I like to say that if we are spiritually well, you can still seek support. You can still come to a counselor. You can still go to your doctor. And if he thinks your depression and the biochemical makeup in your body has been so uh, worn down that you need to reset physiologically because you're so depressed, that's when they give you medication for depression. It doesn't always mean that you need it the rest of your life, but you may need it to walk through something until you get rebalanced again. So I like to talk about that because people often say, I don't talk to a psychologist because that means I'm turning my back on God. God will fix me. I say, talk to the psychologist, pray that it sticks. If you got medication, pray that it works, and then keep on praying because God will create ways and avenues and people like me and others who are there to hold your hand and give you skills to make it through difficult times. And even when it's not difficult times, to help you problem solve and coach you so that you can know what you really want and be a mirror for you to reflect back your goals and your dreams and your vision for yourself. So the first one I'm talking about is spirituality.
That as you said that, I remember a lecture by I think it was Mahmoud El Kadi up at Little Kitchen, and he explained. I think he explained the etymology of the word religion. And have you thought about that? Do you know what that is? My understanding of it was ligar is the Latin or Greek word meaning binding, and so religion is to rebind. And so it's a question of binding people to an idea or to each other or to a structure or to an institution. And so the nature and function of religion is to rebind people, right? To have them operate within some kind of connectivity. So I just threw that out. I don't know if you were familiar with that at all, but his definition or discussion of it has stayed with me over the time, because I think I, as a person, am interested in appreciating how all of us approach the divine, and I recognize that the divine is expansive and able to connect with the billion people on the planet in a billion different ways.
That's
And
right.
for me, it simply means that my way is not the only way.
That's right.
My way is only my way, and it probably is not your way. It can be, but I have no need or obligation to subjugate you to my way. That's my
Come on.
point. And that we figure out how each of us, if we intuit or understand or learn that we're all aiming for something that is common and that is mutually beneficial, we can discover that we may have found different pathways, and that's okay. So there's no need to subjugate and deny other people's own awareness.
That's right.
The right thing is to appreciate and elevate our own. That's what I think. Does that make sense to you, Doc?
It's very so, and I think that's the whole essence of the whole point is to recognize that each one of us has a path, and your path, whatever it is yours. It's unique to you. And even if people do it like you, nobody will do it exactly like you do it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so you were talking about how we have to get to where we, recognize that, prayer is powerful, but there are other assets and resources that we should engage along with prayer. And it just reminded me what I was going to start to say when I said that you and I have been connected in a number of ways. And one is that you've been a guest speaker, lecturer, panelist over the years, both for local and for national iterations of Conversations with Al McFarlane. But I am always proud to say, Dr. B, that I have been a patient or a customer. I call it both ways.
Yeah.
I've come to your company, Breakins, for psychological services, meaning coming for therapy. And the therapy, if you don't mind me talking about it, the therapy
I'm not putting your business out there. You can put your business.
I can put it out there, right? So the therapy that I'm seeking is therapy to help me be me. My goal is to be what I dream and envision is possible and doable. I can tell you that I have not achieved it so far. I can tell you that I believe I can achieve it. And so for me, It's a question of waking up every morning saying, today I begin my journey to that dream, that vision, the outcome that I'm seeking, and work as hard as I can that day, and then get up tomorrow with the same determination to build and to do what it is I think I've been given to do, to see, to build. And so, I put this in the context of watching television, and I say, look, all these white people talk about their therapists, Woody Allen and the people on The Sopranos. Not that I'm putting myself in their category. I'm not trying to do that, but I'm saying that I see that society has a process for helping people navigate their doubts, their fears, understand their strengths better, and to get feedback ongoing that they can count on. So I said, if they can do it, I can do it. So let me call up Dr. B. And Dr. B, I want to be a customer of yours. So I'm looking at it two ways. Number one is I want to be a patient. I'm looking for the therapy that your knowledge and your team can provide me in my quest to be the best me. I'm like everybody else, Dr. B. I'm an ordinary dude from my point of view. And I have the challenge of also trying to be a decent partner to my life partner, my wife, Bobby McFarlane, to be a decent father to my children, right? And my grandkids. And I want to be a decent neighbor. And so I know that I fall short on all fronts, right? So part of my challenge is to talk and get feedback. What can I do to be better? What am I missing in me, in my actions, my thoughts, my analysis, and where am I investing properly or improperly to achieve the desires that I want? How am I shooting myself in the foot? If I say I want to be, extremely this or extremely that, what am I doing to prevent me from actually doing that? Because it's at the end of the day, it's in my hands.
That's right.
It's in my mind. And so how do I get that help? And I think that's what therapy is for me. It may be different for other people, but I say that to say that I am so glad that you are there. I'm so glad for the profession, and so glad that you and your company are in the profession. And I can tell you that I feel like the engagement I've had over the years with your team has been positive and productive. And I say it with the intent of encouraging anybody and everybody in our community to connect with the genius of healing and of clarity that your profession can support, can provide people, us, to support our vision and our dreams. So
I appreciate that.
That's what I'm doing.
Because what you're doing is
I want to be your customer. I'm a client, patient, right? But I'm also your customer because I know that you're in business. And if wherever I can do business with you or with us, that's my commitment, to do business with businesses that reflect my values, my interests, and support my view of the world. And this makes it perfect.
Thank you. And I appreciate you doing that, because you've just done a couple of things. One, you have talked about the stigma and broken it down, that any ordinary person can access the expertise of someone who can give you support in emotional ways, as a mirror that reflects your goals. And I always like to the fact that you don't mind saying it, but my job is to make sure people know that it is confidential. Yeah. That if they want to tell their business, I'll support them. I know I was in a waiting room one time, and I walked through. It was at the Urban League where one of my offices is. I was on my way up, and a young lady across in the waiting room waved, "Dr. B, Dr. B." She looked at her girlfriend. She said, "That's my therapist." Hey, Dr. B, hey, Dr. B, because we're not supposed to say who's our client. But right. She went on and outed me, and she turned it at her girlfriend, and she said, "Girl, you need to get your own mental health hookup." Yeah. And I'll tell you, within 2 days, her friend had called.
There we go.
There's nothing wrong with us getting our mental health hookup. We deserve to have support. So I know that's all right. So thank you. And I also appreciate being a Black-owned business, Black women-owned business, that I have support from my community, because I have a lot of competition for treating us and not treating us well. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's how I started my business, trying to make up and give people make up for bad practice,
Mm-hmm.
and giving people an alternative, an option that they don't have to go in a space where their culture isn't valued, and where if they break noun verb agreement, somebody's going to think they're dumb because they talk ebonics. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I love to have people in our office, because in our office, I call I call them my clients in my community. You
Mm-hmm.
step in, you may get called, hey brother, hey sister.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a top down
Mm-hmm.
situation. It's a, we are in this together,
Mm-hmm.
on this journey together. I'm bringing what I can to assist you with what you bring. And that's the whole joy of that piece. Is called Ujima. And
Mm-hmm.
Ujima is emotional wellness. That's how our brothers' problems are our problems, our sisters' problems are our problems. And together we know two heads are better than one. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole point of coming to counseling, is to get the skills, the support, and the feedback necessary to be your best self.
And so we want to create kind of a public pathway and access in our community. I had written a document, and I've used this theme in proposals that I write for business that are introducing communication strategies. And I say that our mission is to create a public mind,
Mm.
right? We each have our individual thoughts
Mm.
and minds and power and understandings. But what if you can coordinate and create collaboration, and that in itself emerges as a public mind? You create a new understanding, a new awareness, a new consensus. And if you create a public mind that views us as we truly are, what have we done? We've simply become ourselves,
Yeah.
right? And the selves that we become are the limitless expression of possibility. We come back to understanding our role as the source, right? And our potential as refined expressions, right, of the beginning. And therefore, we present as, let me say the right words here, we present as the embodiment of the future. The future
Mm.
is us,
Yeah.
in us, with us. And we simply need to have the confidence to walk with that degree of gravitas, is the word I think,
Yeah.
swagger,
Yeah.
swagger, that
That's
every
right.
step I take is a step into my role as an author
Yeah.
of creation, an
That's right.
author of tomorrow. What I do right now, this breath, is
Mm.
authoring the rest of existence. Does that
Mm.
make sense? Is that too big?
It's, it's beautiful. It's true. I always tell people that every breath is God's way of telling you to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And one breath I was, in this present breath I am, the next breath I become. And so
Mm-hmm.
as we move, it's just one breath between the past and the present,
Mm-hmm.
between what I was and who I am right this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very empowering to recognize that we're growing toward who we need to be. And I often talk about the need to be able to be free enough to not stick to a course that doesn't serve us.
Mm-hmm.
I used to, before they had GPS, I would get lost all the time. Even if the lady on the GPS told me to go right, I still go left. So, and then the GPS lady would go, recalculate, recalculate. So it one day it just hit me that when we make wrong turns, we need to just recalculate. And all of that is part of the journey. It doesn't mean we have to get stuck down that wrong one way street. It says you're going down a one way street.
Mm-hmm.
Recalculate. And
Mm-hmm.
so we as a people have vehicles and ways, means, processes by which we recalculate. We listen to shows like this. We read. We speak to our elders. We pray. We speak to our ministers, our children, our families, our communities, our neighbors, and we assimilate information to help us make the path different. And you may go down the wrong street again. It again giving yourself permission to recalculate.
Mhm.
That's the core. And that recalculation could affect other areas like our wellness model does. It could affect your finances, which is ujama, where we're talking about uh, 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 collective collecting our resources together, cooperative economics, umoja, our social wellness in our community. It makes us be who we be in the community around us, that we see we are connected to one another, that all children are our children, all of our brothers and sisters. We know that they matter to us. And if even one of them goes down, it's an impact on all of us. And we know we have our nia, our purpose, our calling. We claim that as our vocational wellness. Like I was talking about earlier, doing something you love and still getting paid for it. We have the value of kuumba, which is creativity. And that's where that recalculation comes. That's where
Mhm.
that survival comes. That's where that making a way out of no way comes.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
how we have survived white oppression, internal racism, internalized less thanness, because we are creative enough to find a way to the light and to be the light.
Mhm.
Be the light, like the young woman said, Gorman,
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
have the courage to be it. Oh, she talked about that. So that part of our purpose, our calling, our creativity. And then when we talk about COVID, it brings out the word kujichagalia, Swahili for self-determination. That means that we can determine where we go with our food, with our body, with our thoughts, with our hands, our hearts, our fists, how we decide to be safe in our community, whether we're just going to make our block safe or the whole community safe. But I'm going to start with safety in my home, because
Mhm.
I can control whether my kids are afraid or not in my house. Oh, I'm telling you, we have power beyond measure. And so Kuji Chagalia, that physical determination, we don't have a master saying you can't get an injection. We don't have somebody trying to give us syphilis, but they can't give it to each other when we talk about white folks without giving it to us. They in
Mhm.
line with us.
Mhm.
One of the things we have to think about when we're afraid that they're giving us syphilis, we got to remember those were black folks only
Mhm.
getting those injections.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, it wasn't a whole bunch of white soldiers in line. So,
Mhm.
so we really, really, really have to remember that we have a right to be well. And that leads us to Busara, which
Mhm.
is intellectual wellness. And Busara means that we learn not by book sense, but by common sense. That we may have a grandma or great grandpa who have a second, third grade education, but those can be some of the smartest people in the world. And their wisdom, the applicability of practical wisdom, is what saves us. So that's why when it comes to us making decisions, I tell my brothers and sisters about COVID, I said, read it for yourself. You're
Mhm.
smart enough to do it. And if you don't feel like you can read it, go hook up some videos on a radio. I mean on the internet. Get one of your grandkids to hook you up. They know how to do it. And
Sure.
start reading it and hearing about it. And more than that, if you don't even do that, answer those questions we started out with today. What will happen if you don't?
Mhm.
What
Mhm.
will happen? That doesn't take a PhD to figure out what will happen if you don't. What would happen if you get sick? What would happen if you died by that COVID and could have saved your own life?
Mhm.
And that's where I
Powerful.
rested, brother.
Powerful. So what we're going to do next week, you have my role as facilitator and moderator, but with you and uh, as part of the mission of the African American Child Wellness Institute, we're creating the Healing Circle,
Yeah,
and the Healing Circle will assemble esteemed, knowledgeable people
yeah,
to discuss, a topic or an element or an aspect of our culture, our community, our health, our well-being, our
yeah,
mental health,
yeah,
and go deep on a particular item at a given time,
yeah,
meaning that it can go anywhere, but we start somewhere, right?
Yep.
And see what the Spirit also brings to the conversation.
That's
So
right.
people come prepared to share their vision, their knowledge, their expertise, their understanding, their feeling of what is topical today, right
That's
now,
right.
out
That's
of their arsenal of knowledge, their storehouse of wisdom, right? But they
right.
bring that to the 1 hour program that we do at this time from 1 to 2. And
Yep.
then we also introduce a new concept, and
Yep.
that is, and I love this, a second part of the program, which will go into breakout rooms, and
Mhm.
at minimum, 2 breakout rooms, one simply to carry the conversation forward, because
Mhm.
we anticipate that just like this conversation, this time has gone so fast already. It's like,
Ahead.
feels like 2 minutes, and we've been here almost an hour. So what if we have 10 of us in the room? It's going to be something, right?
It's gonna be something.
And hopefully we'll have 30, 40, 50 to start with, people
Mhm.
that are signed up, that are registered to be either in the room, or on board on YouTube, or on board on our Facebook pages, right?
That's
And
correct.
we'll be sending out invitations. We want that number to grow to thousands. We'd love to have 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 people joining this program, this conversation. So after the initial discussion, the round table, the healing circle
Yep.
discussion, we'll break into 2 breakout rooms. And what I love is your plan, Dr. B, not only to have a place where further discussion can take place, but there may be people who need personal and private questions raised or answered, and you have created a recovery room. Is that the right word?
That's right.
Talk about that. I love that.
Yep. So as we leave this healing circle part, we'll go into a healing room
Mhm.
where the larger group will continue the conversation. And for those of us who need individual support, we will go to that recovery space, to that recovery room, where you will have one on one conference or meeting with someone who does provide therapy or who does have access to resources in that one place of recovering. And as I said earlier, I feel like even just the word recover means it's something you already had that you're going to go back and get. So it's not that you come into this world with lack. You need to recover or regain what is yours to have, what is yours to hold. And there you will have resources. There you will have appointments, being able to set up if you want one on one counseling or coaching, or if you just need to get information on where can I find a safe place to live, or I'm in an abusive relationship, what can I do to get out of it? So you will have that special space for yourself. And it will hopefully lead you to resources that will shore you up and wrap around you like a warm blanket of love, so that you can know you are not alone.
Speaking of love, coming up on Valentine's Day, any meditations or thoughts on Valentine's Day? Any
Oh,
ideas to share with people? I was in a conversation yesterday, Thursday, I talked with veterans, and you were on the Thursday program with my friend Colonel David Rabb, and
yeah.
Sergeant David Patterson joined us from, I think, Illinois or Michigan, and another brother who's a veteran who joined us, who's also a psychologist, but from California. And you were with us on one of our sessions, but we
Yes,
talked about Valentine's Day and what love means. So we gave ourselves the assignment for next week's program to, during the week, ask people in our spheres, what does love mean to a man, and what do you think love means to a woman? And
ooh,
then for us to come back on next Thursday and report out the feedback we got. And we think this is going to be just a useful and interesting thing to do. And at the end of the day, our goal is to encourage our people to think about the presence and the meaning of love in our own lives. So what are your thoughts on love? Dr. B, what does love mean to a man, and what does love mean to a woman? I'm doing my first assignment right now.
well, I think that I think it varies, But in many ways, love to men is more physical and and an act. Is around a physical act. If you love me, you'll cook my dinner. If you love me, you'll kiss me or have sex with me or whatever that means. You'll be physically intimate with me, or you'll take care of the things I need taken care of, my clothes or whatever. So it's often seen in a demonstrable way that's physical. And for women, love tends to be expressed in a more emotional manner, and and we see it when in demonstrations by thoughtfulness. And that thoughtfulness may be as simple as opening up a door and you normally don't. That thoughtfulness may be as simple as going by and picking up her favorite meal and you normally don't. And are knowing that she likes pink and buying something that's pink and saying, I know you like pink and I don't know if this will hit it, but I just saw this pink vase and it's got pink flowers in it. You think it's nice? So being able to use your connection to her is the way women feel. They like love that is said in words, in small deeds. It doesn't have to be a dozen of roses. It can just be one. It doesn't have to be an elaborate dinner. You can make pizza and you did it for both of you if you don't normally cook. So I would say when we think about Valentine's and we think about love, love is really emotional to all of us. Whether it's a symbolic meaning through a physical behavior or symbolic meaning through thoughtfulness or words. Those parts of love are ways that make us feel warm and fuzzy inside. And it's very socialized. Boys are taught that love looks a certain way, and girls are taught that it looks nurturing. So that's why as soon as little girls are born, people start throwing dolls in their hands and boys get trucks. And if we happen to understand how we're socialized into thinking what is symbolic of love for us, then we'll have to understand that many people have different love languages. I grew up having dolls and trucks. My dolls were in the truck. But so I played trucks and dolls. But it depends on the person. The most important part of it is just knowing that you know them. Whoever it is that you're with, letting them know that you see them. Letting you know that not only do you see them, you value them. They're precious to you. And whether you say it with words or actions or both, knowing that you're cherished and precious, that's what's love to me.
Let me add one more word to that and ask you to reflect on it. How does love play into, support, enable, or reflect the possibility, the need, the achievement of transcendence? The key word is transcendence. And transcendence in this question is meaning of becoming complete, becoming full. How does love either reflect that or enable it, or what part does it play in the complete consciousness, right? Transcendent consciousness for the human being. What do you think?
Now you're getting deep as you always do. And you're scary deep at times. But let me say this. I think when we talk about love as a part of transcendence, that is a love for yourself. What many of us who are Christians said that we were taught to love our neighbor as ourselves. It sounds so interesting because the as part means there's a presupposition that you will love and honor yourself, that you will have morua or respect for yourself, and that love for yourself is so big, is so enormous that it touches you in a spiritual way to every other human being, and especially those who are your children and your wife and your family and your family of all humanity. That transcendence is that we are both lovable. We are both precious. because I can't see I'm precious. If I don't see that I'm precious, I have a limit on what I can give you.
Mhm. I love it. Listen, that's the lesson for today. Thank you so much, Dr. B.
You're
So
welcome.
guess what? If you're listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube, or checking this out on Facebook, we're glad that you're here. We hope that you like this. Subscribe to the channel and also share it. And if you're on Facebook, simply give us a like. Let people know that you were here. Give us comments. I'll ask you the question. And I'd love to have your feedback. I need it all week long because I'm going to report it out to my veterans group next Thursday. And the question is, what does love mean to a woman? What does love mean to a man? And I'll be posting that separately on my Facebook pages as well. But here's my preview asking you what you think. I'd love to have your feedback. I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane. The Healing Circle. We'll be here every Friday with Dr. B, the African American Child Wellness Institute, focusing on healing in our community. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
As morning draws near, I rise and say my prayer. Little piece of bread to my mouth, little tea to wash it down. It's my daily tribulation, even though I'm a working man. I work so hard to make ends meet, so yeah, with one suit and one shoe to my feet. Ah, days are getting so hard, yeah, but I got to keep on pushing on this 9 to 5, working to stay alive. On my 9 to 5, working till sun goes down. As the sun sets in the west, I pack my things and head on home, thinking about tomorrow's journey as I try these streets alone. It's my daily tribulation, oh yeah, searching for liberation, yeah. Got to step out of Babylon, take a step to Mount Zion. Days are getting so hard, yeah, but I got to keep on pushing on this 9 to 5, working to stay alive. Oh, on this 9 to 5, yeah, working till sun goes down, sun goes down. Days are getting so hard, yeah, but I got to keep on pushing on this 9 to 5, working to stay alive. Oh, on this 9 to 5, working till sun goes down, sun goes down, sun goes. On this 9 to 5, yeah, working to stay alive. God.